Did you hear that?
It's hard not to.
That's twice, everybody. He's still strutting around, too. He'll do it again. Everybody, Carl! Good evening, folks. It is Boiler Room Radio, and that was my cock, Carl, that you heard right there at the open. Me, my cock, Carl, and Buddy Lance over in Virginia. What more could you ask for? Lance?
It's hard to follow your cock, Carl, that's for sure.
Come on, Carl! We're live!
We're going to play a drinking game every time you hear Carl.
Yeah, every time you hear Carl, you got to do a shot.
Carl, you got to do a shot.
Wild turkey. That'd be appropriate, wouldn't it? Maybe. I don't think they got a whiskey named Chicken. Or Rooster. I don't know. Okay, so we're live. UCY.TV. Here it is. We are Boiler Room Radio. You're listening to us for the next hour. I already introduced Lance. You guys heard Carl at the open. I'm Jim Funke. This is my show. Well, it's kind of mine, Lance's now, because he's, like a wart. He won't go away. But anyway, this is it, man. Monday. It's effing Monday, July 7th. I'm going to be 46 in 2 weeks. Whoopee! I'm still waiting on my third strand, people. I hope you guys are collecting up some money, because it's going to be expensive. And are you coming over in August or what?
Yeah, I'm coming over. I don't know if it's going to be August, but I'm definitely coming over.
I thought we had it planned out that you were going to try to get over here for that one cook-off.
Try. We'll see how this thing goes with my new gig that I got going on. So.
Oh, yeah, for whether or not you're going to be able to take time and stuff.
Well, I'll be able to. I'll just have to put in for it. So.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Well, maybe Carl's not going to do it again. I don't know. Sun's just now going down, though. Maybe we'll get another one out of him. Anyway, speaking of cocks, tell me what's going on Wall Street, man. Because those guys are a bunch of them.
Hold on, let me check.
Guess you could call them big bag of dicks.
Let me check here. Hold on. Yeah, it's still being manipulated.
Market minute.
Yeah, it's still being manipulated. I just looked, so we're good on that area.
It's not over 5,000. It's still being manipulated.
Well, man, I'll tell you what. There's a lot of stories out there about gold and silver, but especially
and who's
gold.
Not getting theirs back, and who owns what, and how many times it's been rehypothecated, and blah 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 blah. Go ahead.
Well, I'm sure glad we have Fort Knox, and that we have. I'm guessing a couple 100,000 tons out there just for reserves right now. So
a couple 100,000 tons. Wow. That's old, man.
And there's a bunch of funny, different kind of odd stuff. France, who when you think of France, you kind of wave the white flag because they're never, in
they make really good toast, and I like their kissing
and snails.
Yeah, I'm not really into snails or nothing, but the kissing's good. I like French kissing.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay, go ahead.
But the French Prime Minister, he's calling for a rebalancing of the currencies because of the U.S. authorities fining BNP Paribas, which is a company, $9 billion for helping other countries avoid sanctions. So they're saying, well, damn, we better get into some other kind of currency if the America is going to be putting sanctions on anybody willy-nilly. We need to go ahead and
willy-nilly. Didn't they win the
and no, that
like MTV Music? Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Where was it? I had another one here that was. Hold on one second. Merkel. And there's a bunch of topics to talk about
pissed.
for sure. Yeah, there's a bunch of topics to talk about.
I'd like gold.
Yeah, I'd like to. I hope we get to talk about that hurricane that's getting ready to hit Japan here tonight or tomorrow too.
Yeah, we'll try to throw that in.
But I don't know if anybody caught it. Angela Merkel,
typhoon, by the way.
Super typhoon. Said allegations that a member of Germany's foreign intelligence agency sold documents to the U.S. risk undermining the trust between the two allies. If the reports are correct, it would be a serious case. Merkel said, yeah, right. Merkel said in her first public comments on the matter at a press briefing with Chinese premier in Beijing, and that was actually yesterday. White House spokesman responded, well, that's a big if, talking about if he's turned stuff over to intelligence, if you will. Yes. But it's interesting, it's fascinating to see all these other countries coming out and going, we're tired. We're tired of your shit.
Yeah. So are the American people. Jump on board.
Yeah, and I saw I don't know if that rally in D.C. was this weekend where they had all the National Guard out and stuff, but it looked like it looked like a bunch of them. Corn. Is your corn high?
I did not give anything from a plastic baggie to any of my corn. I swear to Christ.
No. You know what I'm talking about. Knee high by the 4th of July. Was it up to your head again by 4th of July everywhere around?
Well, I live in a different state now, brother. There's no corn in Arkansas.
Oh, there isn't?
They don't grow any on the mountain.
Well, corn in southern Illinois are 8 feet tall.
Already?
Right now. Already. And
wow, man.
That's pretty high. So it's all the
that's
GMO
like
and everything
mutant
else.
High. Because if it was up to your waist by the 4th of July, that would be triple what it should be, or double what it should be. For it to be 8 feet tall, that's mutant style.
The avalanche is coming because of all the rain that we've had. They're saying it's the rain. You and I and everybody else kind of knows it's GMOs.
Monsanto.
Yeah, knows it's GMOs. But we're getting ready to experience the largest corn crop, that we've had in years because of the drought 2 years ago and then the extra drought. But farmers
more high fructose corn syrup for everybody.
That's true. But the farmers didn't know if there was going to be another drought, so a lot of them didn't plant as many rows as they normally do because they figured they were going to lose so much of it to drought anyway. And then here we have all this rain. I bought 5 ears of corn this weekend. I don't know how many other people bought corn for their 4th of July. It was 5 ears of corn for $1. How is a farmer, after transporting that corn, picking that corn, putting the chemicals down, how is anybody making money off of 20 cents an ear?
I don't know.
Can you answer that?
No.
20 cents an ear.
You sure it wasn't from China?
Well, I guess it could be, but, because a lot of the corn...
Did you buy it at the farmer's market?
Ready. No, that was at Farm Fresh, which is our local supermarket. It was right down the road when we decided we wanted...
so it was from China.
It could have been.
Because it wasn't from Southern California. They're in a drought.
It's just kind of weird. Kind of weird. I was like, 20 cents an ear? How's anybody
there used to be a cat that come in and ran tool. He grew his own, he had heirloom corn. It was nice, sweet, Illinois super sweet. Mm-hmm. And I think last year I paid $5 a dozen.
Yeah.
But he'd give you 14 or 15 ears,
Right.
But yeah, it was like $5. I think it was $4 a dozen. I always gave him just a $5 and walked off,
Crazy.
So, yeah, a dollar for, yeah.
50 cents.
Yeah.
But still, I'm just shocked at 20 cents an ear. How anybody's making money at 20 cents an ear of corn.
No.
Especially after
not unless they got 10,000 acres, and that's all they're planting is corn on the whole 10,000. But, most everybody in Illinois, they'd rotate corn and beans, if they got 500 acres, 250 of it would go in beans, 250 of it go in corn.
Well,
it depends on what the prices are. Whatever paid more is what they plant more.
That land out in Indiana that we stay at on my dad's farm.
Right.
There's, obviously we're never there because we're here, but there's 40 acres, and I think 30 of them or 35 of them, a neighboring farmer comes over and plants corn.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. And then I think he gets like $900 out of the deal. It's not a whole lot, but he gets... out of his 30 acres, he doesn't do a damn thing except pay taxes on it, and he gets $900 a year out of it.
Sweet.
I thought it was a pretty good deal. Lear Capital,
Mm.
my new favorite company.
Really?
Last month, we shared a story of Larry Murphy, a Florida man who had been battling his neighborhood Gestapo, the homeowner association, for nearly 2 years over the placement of an American flag on his property. Everybody remembers this story.
Yep.
The homeowner association claimed that Murphy owed $8,000 in fees and threatened him with a foreclosure lien on his home over the American flag he placed in a flower pot. This thing isn't even covering his windows or anything. This is a 1 foot by 2 foot American flag in his flower pot. They were charging him $100 a day for noncompliance with their flag display rule. Now, 2 businessmen have stepped in to help Murphy. Scott Carter and Kevin Demerit, both senior executives at Lear Capital, that said when they heard that the 73-year-old veteran's story and they wanted to help. When we read the story, it offended our sensibilities. The thought of him losing his home we felt was wrong. We wanted to help.
So they bought the neighborhood.
Hold on, check this out. They, the homeowner association, were using the strong arm of money to get him to get rid of the flag. They were skimming the money from his paid dues to pay the fines, which created a lien on his house. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't the fine that they were going to put the foreclosure on. They were paying the fine out of his homeowner dues and then saying he wasn't paying his homeowner dues.
Right.
So they paid the $8,000 plus another $2,500 for tax adjustments. While it's, the generosity is kind and admirable, it's quite sickening that the bullies at the HOA ultimately got what they wanted. Whether or not they'll continue to fine him is not known, but back in June, it didn't sound like he had any plans with complying with the rules. The flag is worth fighting for. If they want to foreclose, bring it on. I'm getting calls from all over the country to stand up, and that's what I'm going to do. So I thought that was a banker actually doing some good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Is Lear Capital a bank though? Is that a bank or that's a money?
Firm.
Well, no, I thought it was a money exchange for precious metals. I thought Lear Capital. Is it Lear Capital?
Yeah, Lear Capital.
Yeah, they sell precious metals. It's not a bank.
Mm.
That's a precious metals investing firm.
Well, they're still helping the guy out. So.
Yeah, well, they're awake. So.
And lastly, my story, I have a couple more for later, but one thing I think everybody's going to hear more about listening to alternative news, not mainstream. At the 6th Summit of BRICS, which is the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, to be held July 14th, 15th, and 16th in Brazil, a new financial architecture is scheduled to be established. A monetary stabilization fund called Contingent Reserve Arrangement and a development bank called BRICS Bank will begin to operate after the summit de facto in opposition to the IMF and the World Bank.
Whoops.
They will have $100 billion
in assets,
with contributions from China of $41 billion, Brazil and India and Russia with $18 billion, and South Africa with $5 billion. They'll begin operation with a capital of $50 billion with contributions of $10 billion and guarantees of $40 billion from each of the members. That's big news.
Yes, it is. The Fed is shaking in its boots.
That is big news, and I don't believe you're going to hear one word about it other than places like UCY or Steve Quayle, Alex Jones. I'm sure he'll even be talking about it. But
I bet you hear about it on RT
later. Yeah, well, in fact, there is a link to it. RT had something about it too, because their job is to make the U.S. look bad.
They don't need
Not that they
help.
have to work very hard.
Yeah, that's right about that, boy. What else you got over there?
Nothing. I'm ashamed of my government right now. I've had so many conversations with Facebook people over the weekend. All this 4th of July crap. The immigrants coming up through Marietta or wherever they're coming up and being blocked, and I'm just upset at our government. I'm ashamed to be government. I will say this, my daughter just got back, my mom and daughter just got back yesterday from a 2-week European gaunt through Italy, Germany, France, old Czechoslovakia, or old Yugoslavia, I don't remember the name of it now. Turkey, they went to Turkey. They went to Greece on the cruise. They went to Turkey and Greece. And nowhere did they experience any ill feelings towards Americans. Nobody treated them bad because they were Americans.
It's because they wanted their money.
Probably. I mean, they hit a lot of tourist places and everything else. But, they did say that they, were with a number of other Americans that they saw over there. So, that was
Turkey and Greece. Just two of those two right there. Both of those countries are just so far underwater, it's not even funny. So they're looking for every single tourist dollar they can get.
Yeah, and I told them that, they wouldn't have wanted to obviously travel inland.
Not very far.
Yeah, not very far. The cruises are all, it's like Cozumel, it's right. You go back 5 miles from there and it's all slums. Same with anywhere in the Bahamas. So.
And Brazil. If you're over there watching the World Cup.
Well, you don't even have to go
walk 1,000 meters.
Yeah, I was going to say, you only
walk
go
1,000 meters from the stadium and you'll see, blown open homes and shit without walls. And
It's funny how the cameras are all strategically placed for ESPN, Telemundo. Anybody who's showing these games have always shown the entire city in very favorable lights, and I just don't think that's fair. I'm for the protesters. I wasn't rooting for any soccer team.
Right. Hey, I got something. You got any more? You got anything else over there?
No, we can. It's stuff for later, but
okay. I got a question from a listener. Actually, talked to her earlier today for about 20 minutes, and she wanted to know about something that the federal government offers for your mortgage insurance, or no, maybe it's taxes, maybe it's property taxes, where you can get your money back.
If you're disabled or you're over 65 in a lot of cities, and I didn't know it was a federal program, but I know our local cities, if you're disabled, if you're collecting disability from the government, disabled veteran, I think you're over 66. You have to fill out once a year. Taxes are paid twice a year here. But every January or February, my in-laws fill out a form with the city, and it makes them exempt from taxes. I don't know if that's what they're talking about, your listener was talking about. But that's the only thing I know about tax forgiveness. Disability and being over 66. Every city's different. You call up your commissioner of revenue and you ask them if they've got any tax forgiveness for being disabled or being a certain age elderly.
I thought there was some kind of federal program for homestead owners where they would pay your yearly taxes if you were, if you had, I don't think it's got to be X number of acres or whatever, but you just have to be the homeowner. Like we've got a homeowner's bonus in this county where they give you an extra $300 off or $500 off of your taxes. I think it's $350 or something like that off of your yearly taxes for your property because you own a home in Baxter County. So. Is there a federal program like that? Do you know? Because I told her you might because you were in real estate, so you might. And I'm pretty sure that's what they're talking about is real estate taxes.
And it does sound like it, but it also sounds like rural or rural industrial or rural commercial. It sounds like it's farm a little property. Different. Yeah, it's a little agricultural, rural/agricultural. We don't have any of that around here, so I couldn't definitively say I know exactly what program she's talking about, but there very well could be something like that.
Okay.
Underserved areas, I guess, in the country, or.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to see her Friday because she cuts my hair. She cuts my mom's hair too. So I'll get I'll get it nailed down Friday exactly what she's wanting to know about, and I'll give her a heads up before the show.
Yeah, I'll
and
look
then
into it.
yeah, okay, well, that's what we'll do. So
I mean,
sorry, Debbie. I thought I was going to have an answer for you. But.
We have a lot of underserved areas here that are certain zip codes. They're targeted zip codes, and if you want to move into, how should I put this? Some of the rougher parts of town. If you wanted to buy some houses down there, man, there's some special loan programs and loan forgiveness programs and stuff like that. Income limitations are waived on certain programs.
To build the neighborhood back up.
Absolutely. It's part of the revitalization, which Clinton, actually tried to start a long time ago. But no, I have to research on the other thing that she's talking about.
Okie dokie. We'll jump off into the videos then. It is Monday, so there is a hyper report. Scott has 2 minutes and 21 seconds to air, and here we go with a nice birdie. Then you get to listen to the bird for 3 more seconds.
Hello, this is Scott, and this is the hyper report. Here are the quotes for various items. First, Anti-Dollar Alliance. The Alliance of Nations, known as the BRICS, are very close to establishing a system of multilateral swaps that will allow trade to each other without using the dollar. If the current trend continues, soon the dollar will be abandoned by most of the significant global economies. In fact, the greenback may have already passed its point of no return on its way to irrelevance. Next, shock. According to Janet Yellen, central banks cannot do anything to avoid asset bubbles and subsequent crashes. Of course, she and her kind only want to crash the current economic system so that it can be replaced with a new global economic system. So as people rush into a stock market that is at record highs, get ready for a thunderous crash. Next, unintended consequences. The U.S. has tried to punish France for dealing with Russia. However, the U.S. merely accelerated the gravitation of France and other countries away from the dollar. In fact, the head of the French Central Bank and European Central Bank member issued a direct threat to the U.S. dollar. Nothing says alliances and friendships like a threat. Next, emerging German-Russian axis. A combination of German industrial might and Russian raw materials and military strength would instantly create a colossus. With problems with the EU, such as the UK set on a path to leave the EU within 4 years, Germany is understandably looking for something more stable and reliable. With spying or lies about gold, who needs the US as an ally? Next, another Obama-Rec success story. A devastating new Health and Human Services Inspector General report indicates that about 1.3 million of Obama-Rec enrollees may not be U.S. citizens. So what if 1.3 million are illegal aliens?
What difference at this point does it make?
Next, Clinton's supporter. At over $5 million, Goldman Sachs is the biggest donor to the Clintons. Therefore, you can expect to see Hillary in the 2016 election. Next, secret ingredient. Fast food restaurants like McDonald's have a secret ingredient for their menus. It may even increase your daily fiber intake. That's because it's wood pulp. The entrance of this non-absorbable fiber into fast food ingredients has been stealthy, yet widespread, which can be found in buns, cheeses, shakes, fries, meats, and onion rings.
That's
For this ingredient, it's time to make like a tree and leave. Finally, please prepare now for the escalating economic and social unrest. Good day.
Very good report, man.
Oh, can you say the quote?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one, too, wasn't it? Hang on, let me back up here. Stop. Oh, shit. Whoops.
Hello, this is Scott, and this is...
Whoops, sorry. Let me get back here to the other end. If stocks double, but the dollar loses half of its value, who beyond Wall Street are the winners and losers? That's David Malpass, and that's right on the goddamn money. Because, I mean, you know what? It's over 17,000, right? It stayed there.
It did.
Yeah. So, ding, another all-time record high for Wall Street. And meanwhile, your milk is $4.50 a gallon, and hamburger is close to deli meat is $10 a pound. It doesn't matter what you're effing buying; it's $10 a pound. It's just crazy, people. Crazy.
Don't ever buy deli meat anyway. You're not supposed to ever buy processed meat out of the deli.
I don't buy processed meat out of the deli. I buy deli meat.
Well, that's processed meat.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I said, oh.
Oh.
Tastes good.
Well, so does Pepsi, but...
I don't like Pepsi. I never have liked Pepsi. I always drank Coke.
Okay. Oh, so does the McRib.
I did eat a couple of McRibs.
I've had dozens. 100 probably.
Oof.
Over the years. I mean, they've been around for a while.
Yeah, they have. But they only come out on certain times to make the sheeple want them more.
That's why I like living in Europe. They were a permanent menu item over in Europe.
Oh, that's right. You talked about that.
And the KFC sell ribs.
What? Really?
I'm dead serious. They sell ribs over there.
Pork ribs?
Pork ribs. And it is some of the best ribs that you'll ever have. They're probably not real ribs. But they are good
fake
stuff.
Rib, man. There's a little fake bone on the inside.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna drop this Manarino one. The Manarino one's pretty good. I don't know if you watched it today or not. I didn't drop it.
Oh, is it a good one? Okay, good.
It's right at 651, so it's not bad though. He really hits it home on a couple of different points. And these are the reasons that I play these videos, because they affect everybody every day. Everybody every day. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's up to you. If you want to keep your eyes closed to the fact, good on you. And another freaking ad. They're getting crazy with these ads, man.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Greg Manarino. Hawaii today. It is Monday, July 7th, 2014. I hope all of you had a very happy holiday, July 4th, Independence Day weekend.
Pretend independence.
All right, but it's back to work here, people. So we are here. What am I referring to?
Genetically modified.
Okay. We are now entering the second half of the year. Okay, but what's really important to understand is this is significant regarding what's happening in the U.S. economy and the U.S. equity markets. For those of us here that have been paying attention to the first half of the year, they've been hyping this to the nth degree. And what does that mean in the grand scheme of things? The market has a lot to live up to in this second half, and the economy has a lot to live up to in the second half. Last week we got these jobs numbers here. They're being spun every which way but the correct way. The mainstream media is saying, we're adding jobs, the economy is doing great, but that's really not the case. They will not tell you the other side of that equation, and that is simply that we are still seeing a mass exodus from the labor force as a whole. The jobs that were added were part-time jobs, and people are still underemployed. And there's a lot of people out there saying, hey, it doesn't matter as long as people are getting some kind of employment. That may be true to a certain degree, but we need people out there to get jobs where they can not only support themselves, but in this economy here where consumer spending is 70% of everything, we need people to have disposable income. We're not seeing that here. We're really turning into a nation of burger flippers. That's the truth. We keep seeing growth in service sectors. We need growth in manufacturing. We need to make things here in this country. We need to export them. It's that simple here. But again, despite everything that we're hearing from the Federal Reserve, from our policymakers, there is no doubt that we have an economy that is slowing, and the equity markets are continuing to move further and further and further away from the fundamentals that support them. Distortions, that's all this is. I go over it all the time here. And now that we are entering the second half of the year, I think we're going to see this get much worse. I really, really do, and there are several reasons for that. I've gone over at length how there is no Fed taper. Now, you've got to factor this into the equation here as we move into the second half. There's no taper. We know this for a fact. I've gone over why, and I'll just summarize it just real quick here. If the Fed were tapering, we would actually see this being reflected in bond yields. Again, the Federal Reserve cannot just say they're keeping interest rates low. They have to get into the market and make it happen. How? By buying bonds. It's that simple. Most people have no idea that
doing it through
that
foreign
is the case.
countries
They think
now.
or believe that Janet Yellen can just say, we're keeping interest rates low, everyone, and they're just going to stay there. It's not the case. We also understand this, and this is going to play out again as we move forward into the second half of the year. We have seen the Federal Reserve's balance sheet explode, and it keeps rising, has risen in tandem with the S&P 500. As a matter of fact, I'm going to place an article right down here in the description of this video. It came out about 3 weeks ago about how the Federal Reserve is intending on keeping their balance sheet, I don't know what the word is, elevated, hyper distorted for the foreseeable future. And what will that do, people? In my opinion, it's going to tend to push this market higher, further distorting the equity markets from, again, the fundamentals that are supporting this. Now, this is important now for a few reasons. Next week is the beginning of earnings season. So what I think is going to happen here, and if you want to capitalize on this, again, first of all, I hope you're taking advantage of my site, traderschoice.net. It's free. Free. You got nothing to lose by just checking it out, especially if you're a trader or thinking about getting involved in this. There's also a link right down here in the description of this video. Okay, what I think is going to happen here, and again, this is speculation here on my part, people, so do your own research, make up your own minds. I think we're going to see, despite what happened today in the equity markets, where we had, I wouldn't say a pullback, but we had some weakness here. I think the NASDAQ was hit the hardest, almost 0.75 of a percentage point down. I think we're going to see new long positions be taken up here in the next few days. Again, why? Because we're leading into an earnings season that has to perform. And the Federal Reserve, through their mechanism of no taper, okay, is going to keep inflating this and doing everything they can to support equity prices and further distort everything down the line. So we can capitalize on this, and I already have taken up several new positions. I did post them on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and everywhere. Yeah. If you're interested in seeing what they are, please click on that link right down here, traderschoice.net. I am net long, although I do have one short position there as a hedge. I think it's important to always have your options open here.
Talking to the homies. I didn't catch that when the first time I listened to it. I think I was texting somebody or something. But anyway, we got about 6 minutes out of him anyway before he started.
What's funny? He talked about the 288,000 non-farm jobs that were added last week.
Yeah, they're all part-time.
Well, no. Full-time jobs. Full-time jobs declined by 523,000, and part-time jobs surged to 840,000.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Everything they're adding is part-time work. It's little $7 an hour shit jobs that people are trying to pick up because they've got two other ones that are the same freaking thing, and they're working 75 hours a week trying to make 40-hour a week money. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous, man. This country is so effed up. All right, back to you. You got a story for after the vids, you said?
Obama Presidential Library float at the Norfolk Parade sparks controversy. A 4th of July parade float, that depicted a figure standing outside of an outhouse labeled Obama Presidential Library has created a stir on social media and is receiving criticism in the Norfolk, Nebraska town. The float in the annual Independence Day parade was on a flatbed trailer being pulled by a blue pickup. The figure was dressed in overalls and standing next to a walker outside of the outhouse. Man, this thing it looks like something out of the Clampets.
Drop it in the chat for everybody.
This is hilarious. And it's an outhouse on the back of this flatbed pickup truck, and it says Obama Presidential Library. So neither the float nor the pickup.
The Secret Service is going to be talking to that guy tomorrow.
Well, it snuck into the parade. And miniature American flags were stuck atop the float and then on the truck. Neither the float nor the pickup identified a sponsor, and the sign in the windshield said it was entry number 29. Somebody took a picture of the float, and then it's been circulated on social media. The town mayor, the councilmen, everybody's appalled. They're up in arms.
Oh, I'm sure they are,
displeasure.
Man. After they all got done rolling on the floor.
The city of Norfolk does not condone this. The councilman noted, however, that it was up to the Odd Fellows, which is I guess they're like, they work with the Chamber of Commerce, and they're like the Lions or Kiwanis or Rotary or something like that.
Local Illuminati.
Basically. So it was up to the Oddfellows to approve the floats. A representative of the Oddfellows did not return a phone message from the World Herald reporter Saturday evening.
It was his brother-in-law, Charles.
However, parade committee member Rick Konapaskek said that the Lincoln Journal-Star told the Lincoln Journal-Star that the float wasn't meant to be any more offensive than a political cartoon. He also said the outhouse float was the most popular one in the parade, and the 3 judges awarded it an honorable mention.
I want to give that guy a high five so bad. That's priceless.
I just thought that was funny.
Well, I'm glad we had a funny story on, because this one's going to go the opposite direction. But it's involving Independence Day and the celebrations over the weekend as well. I'm sure quite a few people caught it because it made its rounds on social media, seeing as how the runner of this city is a former administration chief.
Chicago?
Yes, Rom Chicago. At least 11 people have died and 60 others were wounded from gun violence across Chicago, Illinois over the Independence Day weekend. Let me read those numbers again. 11 dead, 60 wounded. At least 30 people were shot in a 13-hour stretch beginning Sunday afternoon at 14:30 Central Daylight Time and continuing into Monday, today. 4 of those 30 people shot died, and several were left in critical condition, according to the Chicago Tribune. Almost all of those killed in the weekend shootings were black or Hispanic men aged 35 or younger. According to the Chicago Sun-Times, 2 were teenagers and 1 was a woman. The latest fatality from the spate of shootings occurred early Monday when a man was shot several times in a South Chicago neighborhood. There were also 5 shot dead by city police over the weekend. According to reports, including boys aged 14 and 16. Authorities said those shot by the officers were holding guns or pointing guns at police when they were fatally shot. The 14-year-old killed by police Friday night in the old Irving Park neighborhood was allegedly pointing a large revolver at officers. Violence in Chicago hit a peak in 2012 when over 500 homicides were recorded, most in the nation for that year. I think that was the year after Rom took over. Though the number of homicides fell to 415 in 2013. Oh, yay! And total was enough for the city to maintain its spot as the murder capital of the U.S. We will keep building our strategy, putting more officers on the streets in summer months, proactive intervening in gang conflicts, partnering with community leaders, Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy said in a statement following the holiday weekend. That's pretty vomitous rhetoric. Police spokesman Martin Maloney pointed out that the city's homicide rate at this point in this year is at its lowest since 1963. And CPD plans to continue its strategy of putting more officers on the streets in summer months, proactively intervening in gang conflict, and yada, 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 yada. The same shit that his chief said, word for word. A vast majority of the shootings occurred in the south and west sides of the city. Only 4 shootings were recorded in the city's north side. I got to get out of here. In Englewood, it's looking like everybody's going to be dead, teenager Patricia Donald told the Sun-Times in her southwest Chicago neighborhood. Donald, a recent graduate of Englewood High, is leaving the city to attend college in Oklahoma this fall.
Isn't that neighborhood that we talked about, the lots for the dollar?
Yeah, Englewood.
I think it was that one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Buy a home for $1 in murder capital USA.
No, just vacant lots of land.
Oh, well, we don't even give you a home. Just a place to bury your dead ass. During the last year's 4th of July weekend shootings in Chicago, left 12 people dead and more than 60 wounded. NBC local Chicago affiliate reported at the time. A total of 1,129 people have been shot in Chicago this year, according to the Tribune. There were 2,185 shooting victims in the city last year. So he's trying to say that they are on the road, what was it, 1963? Is that what he said? Mm-hmm. A police spokesman, Martin Maloney, pointed out that the city's homicide rate at this point in this year is the lowest since 1963. And 1,129 people dead already in 7 months. Not
Maybe
even 7, 6 months.
Income, maybe.
What the F, man? Shut your pie hole, Maloney.
They need more gun control there.
Right. Okay.
Because I'm sure all of those people are law-abiding citizens with permits.
Yeah. Especially the 14-year-old holding the revolver, right? I wonder if that was a drop weapon that the police officer happened to find in his bootleg. Tag, back to you. Your story.
Well, there's something going on because we had 13 deaths over the weekend here on the south side.
In Virginia?
In Virginia. I want to say it was 11 or 13, shootings, separate shootings, incidents. I can't remember how many people died.
You need to move, man.
It's on the south side. It's over in Norfolk, which is, across the bridge on the other side of the bay.
Over there on the other side of the tracks.
It's on the other side of the tracks. I got it. For sure. I got one that was kind of disturbing. And the more I read it...
This is from one of the shootings?
Nope.
Oh.
It's going off on a different tangent.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You
got to let people know, man. You got to go rabbit hole and then jump off in
rabbit hole. Let's take a look at some disturbing aspects of censorship.
Okay.
In which thousands of references to people have virtually disappeared from the internet. And this is over in Europe. Following an EU ruling on the right to be forgotten, in which individuals have
we need to apply to the NSA for that.
Yeah, hold on. In which individuals have the right to ask search engines to remove links with personal information about them. Wikipedia, which
this is
not
only
a fan
law
of,
in Europe, though, right?
so far. But again, it sets precedent.
Okay.
Wikipedia provides the background for this discussion. The right to be forgotten reflects the claim, and this is the thing, reflects the claim of an individual to have certain data deleted so that third persons can no longer trace them. It has been defined as the right to silence on past events in life that are no longer occurring. The right to be forgotten manifests itself in allowing individuals to delete information, videos, or photographs about themselves from internet records, and thus prevent them from showing up on search engines. In May 2014, so it's 2 months ago, the European Court of Justice ruled against Google in Cogesta, a case brought by a Spanish man who requested the removal of a link to a digitized 1998 article, a newspaper about an auction for his foreclosed home, for a debt that he subsequently paid. He initially attempted to have the article removed by complaining to the Spanish Data Protection Agency, which rejected the claim on the grounds that it was lawful and accurate, but accepted a complaint against Google and asked Google to remove the results. Google sued in the Spanish court, the High Court, which referred a series of questions to the European Court of Justice. The court ruled in this case that search engines are responsible for the content they point to, and thus Google was required to comply with the EU data privacy laws. And you got to think about it. 3 of the articles dating from 2010 relate to a now retired Scottish Premier League referee Dougie McDonald, who was found to have lied about his reasons for granting a penalty in a match. The backlash which prompted his resignation. So, at what point, and I understand this case here, I mean, if you do something, there might be a case for someone who committed a petty crime at 18, who has long since reformed and cleaned up their act, and if at age 30 they're finding that in their search history is still preventing them from getting a job, couldn't they make the case that it's time for their record to be forgotten? Because we know the rule, once it's on the internet, it's there forever. True?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
you're going to get somebody's got it somewhere. Yeah.
But, Google is now censoring stuff, that people, because the courts here told them that they had to because of privacy stuff. Even though they're fighting it back, they turned it down. So I wonder how long before that catches on over here, and people do a Google search and find pictures or find something from 10 years ago. We didn't have the internet came about in 97, but let's say it got really active in 02, to where everybody had high-speed internet, maybe even a little bit later than that. So now we're 10 years into everybody having a computer and everybody's records being on there from 10 years ago, because all it does is take a quick Google search. That's scary.
Google knows everything.
But isn't that scary?
Yes, it is. Absolutely, man. I'm not trying to make fun of your story.
No. So, I mean, where do you stand on that? Because I'm kind of like, well, anybody could make up anything to get something removed into that point. At what point?
But what if you have a stalker? What if you have a stalker that's trying to find you? Somebody, you skip town and move to a different location, and that kind of shit. So I mean, that I can see that being helpful.
Yeah. So I think
6 of one, half dozen of the other. Yeah.
I think it's very interesting. That that people are petitioning individual people. I think they got.
Let me ask you
40,000 requests.
Holy shit!
The first week that they authorized this, they had. I read it.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
You think you should be able to sue somebody that posts slanderous shit about you, even though there's freedom of speech that covers it?
You can sue somebody for that slanders you verbally without posting it on the internet.
Well, yeah, but most of the time, internet bullying and stuff. I mean, you're all for all that law, all those laws and stuff. Yeah.
True.
Yep.
Oh, 40,000 requests in the first hour. I'm sorry.
Holy shit.
Because
they shouldn't have tweeted that.
Yeah, right. Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls
the past. That's right.
And that's George Orwell. That's a quote from George Orwell, obviously.
What was the one by Tesla? You will live to see man-made things.
Yeah.
What is it? You will live to see man-made things or man-made horrors beyond your comprehension.
Yeah,
something
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
And we're there, but
we're right there.
But there are BBC has had articles taken down from Google because different people requested. The article is actually pretty long, but I thought it was pretty interesting that.
Can you read it in 5 minutes?
No,
sure,
it's longer than
you
that.
can hop through it.
No.
Read the first 3 paragraphs.
In the commentary I wrote for CNN the day after the ruling, in the Google Spain case, I suggested the result created a headache and potentially huge cost for Google, and that it could open the door to a flood of cases, each of which would need a resolution.
40,000 an hour to be exact.
I wrote that how Google responded to the ruling would be critical, and the initial signs are that the company's response has already caused problems. As predicted, Google received a huge volume of requests to have links removed, more than 40,000. The company has now begun the process of responding to them. Hold on. In both The Guardian, which is the newspaper, and Preston case, which is a different one that was censored, many of the stories that have been notified about did not seem to fall into categories covered by the Google Spain ruling, which is old, irrelevant stories about people who were not public figures. Ball's stories included pieces from 2010 and 2011, scarcely old, while the other guys covered critical events in the banking world in 2007. The ousting of banker Stan O'Neill from Merrill Lynch, something that cannot be described as irrelevant or not in the public interest. So this guy was trying to get his name scrubbed from the Merrill Lynch stories of
so I can get another job.
I want my CEO position back. It looked as though this was exactly what the opponents of the right to be forgotten were worried about, censorship and the rewriting of history. Yep. Was it in fact that Google was overreacting, either that they were or that they put it clumsy, and perhaps they were deliberately attempting to undermine the ruling by making it seem either unworkable or a dangerous form of censorship?
Hey, they go through and scrub everybody's face off Google's maps. You know, they even go so far as to scrub Colonel Sanders' face off because he was a real man.
And license plates.
Yeah.
Yep.
So why not go through and scrub off the bullshit stories about people? Evidently, you got a team of experts good at scrubbing shit, right? They do it for the FBI and CIA all the time. They take down YouTube channels that got no reason to take down just because they're trying to spew the truth.
This guy notes that Google has now received 250,000 removal requests.
Wow.
Should Google really have to filter through every one of them? But only for Europe. And this is only for Europe. Bernal,
they should have 250 billion.
Is sympathetic to a limited form of Big Brother, writing, the most important thing that Google can do in response to the court ruling is to engage positively and actively with the ongoing reform process of the data protection regime. A well-executed reform with a better written, more limited, and more appropriate version of the right to be forgotten could be the ultimate solution here.
How about the right to privacy? Isn't that already out there?
Is a limited Big Brother really possible? And I don't believe it is. But if you're not, if you're a public figure making movies, you don't have any right to privacy. You've given that up.
Well, if you're outside, you don't have any right to privacy. If you're out in the open, except if you're on your property, I think that you should, they shouldn't allow paparazzi to sit out on your pad and try to shoot shit through your windows and all that kind of crap.
Well, we'll use the.
I agree with that. But if you're out in a public place, like at a park or at a pool or at a beach or something, you got no right to privacy there.
But it's just like last year or 2 years ago, right before or after they got married, Princess Kate and Prince Charles or William or whatever his name is, and they went to France, and that newspaper got pictures of her bathing topless out on the...
with a drone or some dude up in a tree or some shit.
Some dude in a tree that climbed a tree on an adjoining property. But, they were
over the fence,
1,000 meters away or something, and
a huge ass lens. Yep.
I mean, I agree that that should be private.
That's extreme. Well, and it's going to have to be case by case.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in the public eye, it's not like you're going to be able to follow all your stories anyway.
Yep.
But you and me, if I got arrested, those words will be in a Google search forever because the local newspaper printed them one time.
Right. All right. We're going to end the show with this story. This is a good story to end the show on. I actually have a Facebook friend that is getting ready to move because of this story. Excuse me. Legal weed sales are about to start in Washington State as retailers have received their first electronic retail marijuana licenses. Even long lines and expected shortages of pot won't spoil the fun. Eager customers are joyful. Only 20 stores have received permits to sell just for fun cannabis, and they will welcome their first official customers as soon as Tuesday morning. Store owners are allowed to sell marijuana from 8 a.m. Tuesday, but which of the stores will be up and running then is not yet clear. So far, Cannabis City is the only recreational marijuana store that is ready to open in Seattle, AP reported. To handle potential crowds of customers, its owner, James Lathrop, has hired an events company. For their comfort, there will be food truck and free water arranged in portable toilets, especially if people have to wait in line.
Free pizza.
Yeah, there you go, man. Free munchies for everybody, dude. Show up and get your dough. He plans to hold off and opening his stores until noon Tuesday. He's going to hold off a little bit. So there ought to be huge lines.
They got to sleep at 10, They don't like getting up early.
Well, I don't know. I'm up at 6:30, 7 o'clock. Okay, let's see. Know your audience. We're talking stoners here. He said, it'd be mean to say they'd need to get up around 5 a.m. to get in line.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, okay. It's already known that Alan Holcomb, the lawyer who drafted Washington State's legal marijuana law, will be among the first customers at Cannabis City. No one thought legalization would happen in our lifetime, she said. I think it's going to be a little overwhelming for me. Lathrop plans to start his business with an initial supply of 10 pounds of dope. He says he may limit purchases to ensure everyone can go home with at least 2 grams a package. The law allows customers to buy up to 1 ounce of marijuana, as they can also buy up to 16 ounces of marijuana-infused products in solid form, or up to 72 ounces of marijuana-infused products in liquid form. Another cannabis entrepreneur, John Evich, according to AP, is thinking of hard ways to find to deliver marijuana to his top-shelf cannabis store in Bellingham. He considered loading the marijuana on his commercial crab boat and rushing it across Puget Sound, or even renting a helicopter. We're pretty stoked, he said. We haven't had any sleep in a long time, but we're excited for the next step. In Evich's store, strains would be priced between $12 and $25, but the first lucky 50 or 100 customers will be able to get $10 grams of one cannabis strain, as Evich wants to thank Washington State residents for voting for the law. At least another 2 stores would be open in some smaller cities, including Tacoma and Spokane. Adam Schmidt of Clear Choice Cannabis in Tacoma decided not to open his stores this week, despite being on the list of first approved store owners. His main concern was that growers will not be able to deliver pot to him. I don't want people waiting in line for hours, he said, and then have to come out and tell them we don't have any more. Retail marijuana sales in Washington State will start Tuesday to give stores at least 24 hours after the first licenses have been issued on Monday. Once store owners get their licenses, they must verify their bar-coded inventory and enter into the state's tracking system before they can sell cannabis.
Which is what Colorado does.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that.
The 24-hour quarantine after receiving licenses will give store owners time to place orders with their growers. State regulators have accepted a total of 334 marijuana retail applications. However, Washington State Liquor Control Board, which has been drafting rules and reviewing license applications, said that the majority of the applicants have not passed final inspection. Some municipalities in Washington State have banned the retail sale of marijuana, however. The days before the state issued licenses have been crazy for growers and retailers alike. Workers at Nine Point Growth Industries, I guess that's a grower, in Bremerton had to work around the clock rushing to sort their 30-pound harvest into 2-gram packages.
That's the level of THC that they're talking about, 9 Point.
Oh, 9 Point, okay. Nine Point Growth Industries owner Greg Stewart has told AP that he and his directors were doing high fives in our version of a happy dance as they worked through some glitches in the pot tracking software early Monday and officially learned they will be able to transport their weed 24 hours later at 2:22 a.m. Tuesday morning. They better be armed.
Mm-hmm. That's why those companies are out there, like we talked about last week.
Yep. With the first pot retail licenses being issued, Washington State has become the second state after Colorado to allow retail sales of recreational marijuana to adults over 21 years old. In Colorado, sales started on January 1st, and in just the first week of legal sales surpassed $5 million. The heavily regulated and taxed system has now allowed marijuana sales were approved by voters in November of 2012. And that's the way to end the show. Washington State, way to go. What do you think, Lance?
Hey.
You going to move?
Up and smoke. Up and smoke.
Need to get on the other 48 states now, everybody.
It'll come.
Start throwing those votes out there. UCY.tv. Peace, people.